Hi everyone, this is the Math Spiral Review for April 22nd, 4th grade. This is Miss Otter. We're going to go over these 6 problems and hopefully this helps you out a little bit. So the first question says Miss Kelly's class raised 432 box tops. Miss Jefferson's class raised 275 box tops. Miss Anderson's class raised 545 box tops. How many box tops did the 3 classes raise all together? So when we're looking at this problem, this is our main question that we're trying to answer. How many box tops did all 3 classes raise all together? And this word right here, all together, that's an important one. That means to add everything up. So we're going to go ahead and add everything together. So we're going to start with Mr. Kelly's class, 432. And Miss Jefferson's class, 275. And Miss Anderson's class, 545. And we're going to go ahead and add these all together. 5 plus 5 plus 2 is 12. Put down the 2. Regroup the 1. 7 plus 3 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. Plus 4 is 15. Put down the 5. Regroup the 1. 4 plus 1 is 5. Plus 5 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. So our answer here, there's 1,252 box tops. Okay. Hopefully that one wasn't too tricky for everyone. The next one. Holly needs to cut a piece of fabric for a project. She needs a total area of 24 square inches. Circle all the possible ways she could cut her fabric. So the key here is to look at this word, she needs a total area of 24 square inches. That's going to be really important. Remember, when you're trying to find area, you are looking for length times width. So we are just going to simply multiply these numbers together, 8 and 4, 8 and 3, and so on, to figure out if they're going to equal 24 square inches. So 8 times 4 is 32. So this one's not going to work because it's not our 24 square inches. 3 times 8 is 24, so this one's a winner. B is one of those. 12 times 2, is 24, so that's going to be also another winner. 3 times 12 is actually 36, so this one's not going to work out for us. And 6 times 4 is also 24, which means that this is also a possible choice. And since the question asks us to circle all the possible ways to cut her fabric, B, C, and E are those possible answers. Next one we have, which statements correctly compare the 2 numbers and circle all the correct statements? Again, this problem is not asking to do too much except for circle all the correct statements. So when I look at A, does 675, is that greater than 677? And since I'm looking into the ones place, I see that no, this one does not. For B, 657 is less than 675 because of the tens place. It totally is true, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to circle B. For C, 675 is less than 657. Well, looking at the tens place, I can tell you that 70 is not less than 50, so this is definitely not an option. Hopefully this next one was super simple for you guys. 675 is equal to 657. And no, not correct. And E, 657 is greater than 675. Nope, so our only clear choice for this one was B, the only correct answer on this set. All right, we're going through these a little bit quicker today. This next one, what is the quotient of 600 divided by 4? The key word that you had to look for here was this word quotient. Quotient is the answer to a division problem. So all you have to do on this one is go ahead and take 4 and put it into 600. Some of you are used to doing it partial quotients and some of you are used to doing it standard algorithm way. I'll go ahead and do partial quotients first and then I'll do standard algorithm. So the first thing we're thinking of is 4 fitting into the 600. How many times total? So 4 fits into 6 this one time, and then we are marking our place values above the zeros with 2 zeros. So that 4 is going to fit into 600 about 100 times. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to multiply it down. So 4 times 100 is 400. Subtract, and I have 200 left over. Now I'm thinking to myself that the 4 is not going to fit into 2, but the 4 will fit into 20. So 4 is going to fit into 20. 5 times with a 0 for this placeholder because this 0 was left out here. And 50 times 40, or 50 times 4, I'm going to multiply it down, and I'm going to get 200 for here as well. Subtract, and I have no remainders, and then I add up my rest and get 150. If you were doing standard algorithm style, then you would put, you're going to set it up the same, 4 into 600. Except for you're just going to start with this one place value right here. 4 fits into 6 one time. 1 times 4, I'm going to multiply that down, is 4. Subtract, and I have 2 left. Bring down the 0. 4 fits into 20 5 times. Multiply 5 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract, and I get 0. Now, for some students, once they get 0, they think they're finished. However, since we still have this place value above the 1s, we're going to have to say that 4 fits into these zeros down here 0 times, multiply it down, and have 0 as a remainder, with our answer again being 150. No matter how you find these answers, either way is okay with me. For the next problem, this is something that we did not get to talk about before school ended. Select all the fractions that are equivalent to, we say this right here as 4/10. Now, some things that you may not know about this is, so if we do a quick little lesson here, we have the hundreds place, and the tens place, and then the ones place, and then we do what's called the decimal. And then we have place values after the decimal, just like we had before the decimal. So these place values after the decimal, the first one is not ones, but tenths, T-E-N with the T-H-S at the end. The next one is going to be hundredths, with a T-H-S at the end of that word, hundredths as well. And then I bet you can guess the last place value just based off of this pattern. But the last place value I'll go ahead and tell you is also thousands, with a THS at the end of that as well. So when we're looking at this, any number, so if I were to put a 1 here and say 0.1, this would be read as 1/10 or 1/10. If I were to put a 4 in this tenths place value and put a 0 in front of it, this would be read as 4/10 as well. So we just say the number that's in that place value. So if I'm looking over at my answers here, I see that I have 4 hundredths. 4 hundredths is not the same thing as 4/10, so automatically I can rule this one out. I'm going to skip B for a minute, and I'm going to jump down to C. I'm reading C as 4/10. 4/10 is the same thing as 4/10, or 4 in this tenths place, so that is definitely an answer. When I look at the next one, I see I have 40 hundredths. You got to remember that this line here in fractions means division. So 40 divided by 10 is not going to give me 4/10, but it's going to give me a whole number 4. So this is not a correct answer. Same thing with E. When we remember that this fraction line right here means division, 100 divided by 4 is actually 25, and so this is also not an option. However, B is an option if you're looking at 40 hundredths, so this is why I'm circling back to this. This is something that we would have normally gotten into a little later in the year. If you're looking at 40 hundredths, the way we would have written this is 0 with a 40 and this 0 ending in the hundredths place value. However, if you take this 0 away, and this only works in decimals, if you take this 0 away, you're left with a 4 in the tenths place, which means that this is also, oops, wrong star, this is actually also a viable option as 4/10. You would just take, if I can zoom in a little bit, you would just take these zeros off, and then you are still left with 4/10, but you would have to remove a 0 from top and bottom. So if I went down here to D and removed a 0 from top and bottom, I would still have 4/1, which would not be the same thing. Oops, sorry. I would still have this 4 divided by 1, which would be 4. So that's why that's not an option when I take off the zeros of that one. Okay, I hope that was a good crash course on that one. As always, let me know if you have any questions. On this last one, we also did not get to this kind of math before school ended. Julian and Chloe needed 5 feet of ribbon to make a craft, so we know right away they're going to need at least 5 feet of ribbon. Okay, Julian has 2 4/5 feet of ribbon. Chloe has 2 3/5 feet of ribbon. How much do they have? Special word, all together. All together means to add, you guys. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add up this 2, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so I have some more space. We're going to go ahead and add up 2 4/5 plus 2 3/5. There are several different ways to add up this problem. One way is to add up the whole numbers first. So if I go ahead and add up 2 plus 2, then I'm going to get 4. And then if I add up 4/5 plus 3/5, since the denominators are the same, I would have a denominator of 5, and then 4 plus 3 gives me 7. However, when I look at this, I'm noticing that I have a fraction greater than 1. I have a 7 over a 5, which means this fraction can be broken down into another whole number to add to my 4. So when I do that, I go ahead and I take this 7/5 and I pull out a whole number 5/5, and I think to myself, what could be added to 5/5 to make the total of 7/5? I know my denominator is going to be 5 for sure, but 5 plus what gives me 7? That's correct, 2. So this 5/5 becomes another whole number 1. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm pulling down this 4, plus I'm going to add it to this 1 and add it to 2/5. So these two together, 4 plus 1 whole or 5/5 is a 5. And then I'm just going to leave my 2/5 here for 5 2/5. So these two kids all together have 5 2/5 feet of ribbon. And then it asks the question, do they have enough for their craft project? Yes, they actually have 5 2/5. So they have more than enough actually for their craft. But if you left the answer as 4 7/5, that may not have been clear to you. Okay, well, I hope that this helps. As always, reach me, email me, call me, message me, let me know if you have any questions on this math. Bye, guys.